Do you have the knowledge, Trevor?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, time to go over the latest Knxwledge album, 1988.
Nice.
What happened in 1988, Trevor?
I don't think that we ever found out, honestly. I think Knxwledge was born. Do a fact check.
That was it.
Fact check that real quick. Time to get into the latest Knxwledge album, 1988. Knxwledge is an American producer based out of L.A., and since 2009, he's had 95 releases on Bandcamp, the majority of which I can't even pronounce. Back in 2015, though, he released HUD Dreams on Stone's Throw, his debut album on Stone's Throw, and the next year went on to produce Mama on Kendrick's To Pimp a Butterfly, which was, I think, a really groundbreaking moment for him in his career. Not Kendrick necessarily, but, well, it was for Kendrick, but for Knxwledge to break through to that kind of mainstream success, I think it was awesome. And he also teamed up with Anderson .Paak for the No Worries duo with Yes Lord back in 2016.
And the collaboration's also on here on a track too.
Yeah, which is a lot of fun. But Knxwledge, I think, is kind of one of these unsung producer heroes, like in the hip hop realm. He's worked with artists like Blue, Joey Badass, Quelle Chris, Kendrick, obviously, Homeboy Sandman, Earl Sweatshirt, the elusive Makami, Alchemist, Action Bronson, Rock Marciano, Westside Gunn, like. His list of credentials is huge, and that's not even everybody that was on there that he's worked with. But now, finally, 1988 is his second album on Stone's Throw Records.
Yeah, I really like this. Like, I think this is good. But for me, because I like this area. It's kind of like pseudo plunderphonics, but it's not really. It's more just sampled, heavily sampled hip hop. But I really like this structure of an album where it's very loose, flows well together. But I think the thing that Knxwledge does is he's just he's too loose on here. And it's not sloppy. His fundamentals are crazy insane. This thing is super just well polished and easy going, just everything just flows into each other just so effortlessly. But the thing that I found to be the biggest disappointment about this was not the material itself, but it's the fact that it didn't really amount to anything much more than his average beat tape or anything like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. There's one thing about this album that kind of bothers me, and it's the fact that it's split into so many smaller tracks. I think having 22 tracks on here, the album is under 40 minutes. I don't think there's really any reason to make this 22 tracks. I think it easily could have been 10. And I think the beauty of artists that I like that kind of fall into the same realm, I'm thinking specifically Avalanches on Since I Left You and J Dilla, two producers or groups of producers that I think are huge. One thing I really like about their bodies of work is that a track doesn't necessarily have to stay with the same sample the whole time.
Yeah.
And things change up throughout the entire track. Now, the Avalanches do that very easily because, they switch up their samples, they switch up the records that they pull from to create new tracks, and J Dilla does the same. His production grows and changes over time. Now, it's not to say that Knxwledge's doesn't, because this album does evolve over the course of the album. But as soon as one single sample is done, or he's squeezed everything that he feels like he can out of the sample, it's the next track, even though the music is still flowing over into the next one.
Yeah, I that's very sentimental of what this project is just or fundamental, not sentimental. It's very it flows well. The segments in between,
oh yeah, I don't
everything
think it doesn't flow well at all.
It's I was just explaining more that it does flow extremely well, but it's just there isn't much outside of that. There's too many tracks. It expands. These ideas can expand. They're not completely worthless ideas by any means, or we're not getting 20 seconds of a track and then we're cutting to something else completely different. We're getting full enough in these 1 minute track periods, but they could be more. I think I want some more expansive ideas in here. for like this type of material.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, if you're going to promote this as like an album, I expect more, I guess more attention. Like this feels fine. Like the production on this is great. Like he's truly a masterclass artist, similar up to getting up there in level with someone like Madlib, and that's like a huge, like, legendary figure of hip hop, and he's right there with like the amount of fundamentals he has. And I just find like on this, like he just doesn't progress to a situation of importance. Not really, the tracks don't progress, because they do, but it's just like they don't have a grander sense of importance throughout.
Yeah, that makes I think that makes sense. I just like wish, I think a lot of this would almost be like alleviated if he just combined multiple tracks into one. And I think that would feel like the tracks evolve more instead of feeling like they don't expand to like what they could be. Because like right now, here's what I'm getting from this. There are 2 tracks where people sing, right?
Yeah.
Take those out of the equation. The other 2 tracks are just beats or like vocal samples, like of just people yelling and like grilling Alchemist or not grilling Alchemist, grilling like Knxwledge, or talking about like, yeah, I'll listen to Knxwledge, but I just prefer trap music.
Trap music.
Yeah, like it's literally just like conversations being had instead of like actual singing. So like I enjoy those, but like the moments don't feel like they evolve much out of that. Yeah.
I don't know. I like the idea of combining tracks because I think it alleviates sense that there's more to this album than just a bunch of loose ideas.
Yeah.
Even though they do flow well together.
Right.
I also, in the sense of ambition, like we got Slaus and Malone last year, and that was something similarly loose in form to this, but it had a grander sense of purpose. And like even like comparing it to the almighty J Dilla, like that had a grander sense of purpose to it. Like Donuts had a grander sense of purpose. This, like, it's fundamentally sound. I can't emphasize that enough. The production on here is excellent, but it fundamentally just doesn't progress to anything higher than itself.
Right, and I think that Knxwledge was obviously like going for something on here. Like we didn't even touch upon like the track titles come into like this poem that you can read all in like one cohesive poem, and I definitely think like Knxwledge had an idea of where he wanted to go. I just don't think that it necessarily translated well across the medium.
I don't think there's like even that, like I don't think listening to this, I don't think there's like really a narrative or a thematic presence or anything. You can only like there's a poem
that idea from the poem. Like it doesn't come across in the music at all.
Yeah. But like again, I like this. I think this is a fun project. I think Knxwledge, true to form, stays to himself. Like he doesn't mess up royally or do anything completely like dumb on here. I think
it's all pleasant to listen to.
Yeah, I just think it just doesn't challenge itself, and that's kind of like the biggest. It's like the biggest disappointing factor is that like he feels too chill and too relaxed on here. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like at this stage in his career, like when he's if he puts out an album instead of like a beat tape or something, I would like for him to showcase more diversity in his catalog and progress more.
I understand.
But that's about it. Keep my eye on scores if you tell me this right now. I think this is a 7-. I enjoyed it nonetheless.
I'd say, yeah, I would give this a 7-. I enjoyed it, but I'm not 100% sure that it amounts to a whole lot outside of this.